Absolutely extraordinary how a person can love you from across a room, with their arms folded, their gaze fixed somewhere over your left shoulder, and not a single word spoken that confirms it. And yet, there it is, hidden, quiet, restrained, but love nonetheless. That is the puzzle we unravel today in 8 Signs an Avoidant Loves You. You see, people with avoidant attachment aren't necessarily loveless creatures, as some might cruelly assume. No. On the contrary, they are often bursting at the seams with affection, admiration, and yes, even longing. But delivering it? Well, that's another matter entirely. Loving them, my dear friend, is like trying to hear a whisper through a locked door. But if you listen carefully, really carefully, you might just catch the melody playing beneath all that silence. So, pour yourself a drink, perhaps something warm. You'll need your wits about you as we step together into the delicate, often maddening world of the avoidantly attached heart. Sign number 1. They initiate contact. I know. Hardly the stuff of sonnets, but with an avoidant, a simple, "Hey, just checking in," might as well be an ode scribbled in ink beneath the light of a crescent moon. Understand that for them, contact is risk. To reach for you is to expose themselves to rejection, to obligation, to the terror of being known. And yet there they are, sending you a photo of some peculiar sandwich they encountered at lunch. That's not a sandwich, my friend. That's affection. In disguise, yes, but affection all the same. Sign number 2. They spend consistent time with you. Avoidants are solitary creatures, like owls, or perhaps house cats. If you find one voluntarily sharing their sacred alone time with you, this is not an accident. This is intention. Imagine an avoidant as a man who has spent decades meticulously constructing the perfect silent sanctuary, and then, without explanation, invites you inside. And what's more, he offers you tea. It's not just a date night. It's a gesture of monumental significance. Sign number 3. They open up. Now, be careful with this one. The confessions won't come pouring out as if you're starring in the final act of some romantic comedy. No, with an avoidant, it's more like an old, creaky attic door slowly opening an inch or two. Perhaps he mentions something from his childhood, a story about his father, perhaps, or an unspoken grief from years long past. He might casually toss it out like it's nothing. But pay attention. That moment, that is him holding out the key to his fortress. Don't drop it. Sign number 4, inclusion ... You see, avoidants build walls for a reason. They are suspicious of the world. They don't let just anyone peek behind the curtain. So if you are invited to his home, or introduced to his inner circle of friends, or heaven forbid, his family, then my dear, you've crossed into rare territory indeed. This is not a tour of the grounds. This is a silent acknowledgement. You belong here. He won't say it, of course, but he won't have to. Sign number 5, thoughtful gestures. Now here's where the avoidant truly shines, though few recognize it. You won't hear "I love you" 10 times a day, but you might find your favorite snack waiting on the kitchen counter, or your car mysteriously filled with gas, or a playlist curated just for you, with no fanfare, no explanation. These are the breadcrumbs. Follow them, and you'll find a path straight to his heart. Sign number 6, respecting your boundaries. Now this, ironically, is perhaps one of the most misunderstood signs of love. He gives you space. He doesn't overwhelm you. Some mistake this as disinterest. Quite the opposite. You see, he respects you because he wants to be respected himself. He assumes by default that what he craves, freedom, autonomy, you must crave as well. So when he steps back, it is not always retreat. Sometimes it's reverence. Sign number 7. Practical help over emotional support. If you come to him in tears, he may seem, well, baffled, perhaps mildly horrified. But if your faucet leaks, if your tire goes flat, he is on it. Avoidants are often more comfortable showing care through actions, solutions, and deeds. They may not know what to do with your sorrow, but by God, they can fix the damn sink. And in their mind, that is love. Fixing the world around you so that your life is easier, safer, smoother. That's them saying, I see you. I want to make this better for you. And finally, sign number 8. Distance after intimacy. Now here is where most people panic. After a wonderful night together, after laughter, closeness, perhaps even vulnerability, he disappears. Quiet. Remote. Suddenly, he seems to be made of stone again. But this, my friend, is not rejection. This is recovery. An avoidance system short-circuits after too much closeness. Their heart races. Their mind spins. They need time alone to make sense of what just happened, to assure themselves they haven't lost their footing. If he comes back, and he will, if he loves you, that return is as loud as an "I love you" shouted from a rooftop. Now, I know how exhausting this sounds. Loving an avoidant can feel like reading poetry in a foreign language, one you never quite mastered. But here's the secret. If you listen carefully, if you pay attention to the gestures, the patterns, the silences, you'll begin to see that the love is there. Always was. It simply doesn't announce itself the way you might expect. And here's the most important part. It's not your job to drag them into the sunlight. Love them as they are, or don't. But if you choose to stay with eyes wide open. See the sandwich photos. See the playlists. See the quiet Thursday nights spent side by side without a word. That's where the magic happens. So the next time you're sitting across from your beloved avoidant, wondering, does he really care? Look closer. You just might find that the answer has been right in front of you all along. And now, if you found yourself nodding along, recognizing someone you know, or perhaps even yourself, do consider subscribing. There are more secrets to uncover in the fascinating, maddening, and exquisite world of attachment. Until then, be patient, be kind, and above all, listen for the whispers behind the walls.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.